So this week has been a little bit of a techie, electrical, getting my arm stuck under the LEGO City kind of week, but I've been trying to figure out how to light up my ever-expanding LEGO City without causing an electrical fire with all the wires and mayhem going on under the tables. Fire hazard aside, I also have 2 trains looping under there too, so I really don't want any derails under the dark, damp depths of the city, as all I have is a flashlight and a grabber stick thing to try and fish them out, and I really don't think that would make an interesting LEGO City update. Anyways, bar getting an electrical qualification this week, I've done a ton of research and of course Amazon purchasing in order to rack my brains around how to solve the issue, and I think I've managed to create an easy-ish solution for powering the lights to my city. Also, as a bonus, I've added some futuristic wizardry space stuff as well, commanding the lights with the power of my voice. Basically Alexa or Google voice control. That was a lot more futuristic a couple of years ago. Now everyone has them.
It's a magic genie speaker that plays music, talks, and knows stuff, all without wires.
But there's a wire.
No more from you, please.
I suppose that makes this tutorial easier. So this question has been whirring around my brain ever since I got a comment asking about how to light up multiple city sets, and initially I thought, that's so simple, until I tried to do it. So I've bought quite a lot of lighting kits over the last couple of years, but up until now I've only been adding the battery connectors. As most of them I've lit up tend to be Christmas sets and just place them on a nice coffee table or a sideboard and just kind of turn them on when you want to. I mean, they only come out once a year as well, so hunting around your house and removing the batteries from the TV remote once a year isn't such a big deal. So the first time I started to think more about powering the sets differently was when we made our winter village this year, and we had to buy 5 packs of batteries. I mean, it looked great, but each of our dining room chairs held together like 4 battery containers each, as the battery cases are just too big to leave on display to show. Also, I don't want to be the sole reason for UK landfill sites growing due to the gargantuan amount of batteries my city will inevitably take up. I know I could get rechargeable batteries, but can you imagine how many battery chargers I would have to plug in around the house to keep constant supply? So anyway, seeing as I don't have any access for nuclear, solar, or wind power, this doesn't really work that way. It's false advertising. I thought that using standard plug sockets would suffice. So from here on in, I'm going to show you the stuff that I've purchased to get all of this working, but this video does presume that you've already bought lighting kits for your city set. So if you haven't yet and want to know which ones I use, then I have done a video on this and I'll link it above. The ones I'm using for this video are a combination of Brickmax and Light My Bricks. The kits themselves do tend to be Brickmax ones, but there is a special ultimate cheat code connector that I buy from Light My Bricks, which I'll get into later. So before you start plugging in bits and bobs and destroying your city with cables flying everywhere and poor Timmy falling off the city table never to be seen again. Yes, this happened to me. I'm sorry, Timmy. Try and figure out where the best plug sockets are located nearest to your city and try to make the wires from there as clean and as safe as possible. I think in the desk setup world it's known as cable management. I'm not good at cable management. Now, for me, I have a plug socket located next to one of my city tables, so I don't have to worry about tripping over the lead or it kind of looking unsightly. But for you, if you can try and hide the cables as best as possible, as being able to see the wires kind of ruins the illusion. So as you can see in my LEGO attic, I have 4 sockets available for my city. Now, to get the most out of these, I want to use each one as sparingly as possible. So the first purchase from Amazon was an 8-plug surge protected extension lead with about 5 meters of cable, as the plug is the other side of the classic area of the city, which is where we're concentrating on for this video. Now, your needs might differ as to how many plugs you want and all that kind of stuff, but I would definitely recommend a surge protected extension lead. Surge protected, yeah. These basically protect your precious light kits of having a surge of current running to them if something like a power cut happens, to protect them from like blowing up and stuff. And you know how much these light kits cost, as well as the time installing them. So the more of these light kits you plug in, the more of a disaster this will inevitably become. So just try and get a good surge protected lead, please. Now, I've run this under both of my tables, and if you've not seen my city before, then this particular section that I'm lighting is actually under 2 floors of tables, as I have a train looping underneath the city, as I couldn't fit it anywhere else, and you need a train. So once I managed to weave the cable through the legs and place the extension lead onto the underground table, well, I was ready to kind of start plugging in other stuff. Now, I put it onto this table simply because it's easier for me to plug stuff into and it won't be seen under here anyways. But again, your kind of setup might differ. So purchase 2 is a USB hub. Now, the one I have, I purchased from Brickmax, but it's nothing special. It's literally just a 7-socket USB hub. Now, depending on which hub you might buy, you also might need a USB plug to plug into the extension lead. Now, I have a ton of old smartphone ones, so I just use one of those, but literally it's just gonna be one like that you use with your smartphone. Now, with both the USB hub and these plugs, you will want multiples of these as you grow your city, but with this current setup here, you have enough for like 7 sets because you have 7 USB ports. So once these are plugged into that extension lead, we now have power under the city. Yeah! Now this next step might depend on what lighting company you go with or whether you've made the kits yourself. Now I'm not that savvy with a soldering iron, and Mrs. Bricknit would not let me near the house with one.
Just make sure it's off. It is off, I think. Hey, get off my back. What is he, the soldering iron police?
But for the Bricksmax kits, the USB connector doesn't have a very long lead, so I need to find a way of extending this to join up to that USB hub. Now, I managed to find a pack of 3 USB extender cables. Ta-da! Basically, it's a male to female connector to extend this cable. So you plug the female end into the light kit and the other end into the USB hub. And that's it, you should now have light to your first city building. Other than that, it's as simple as a rinse and repeat until you've filled up that first hub, and once you've done that, obviously you buy more hubs, attach them to the extension lead, and there you go. You have 8 plugs that go to 7 USB hubs, which obviously then go to 7 city sets. That creates quite a big amount of stuff you can light up with that one extension lead. Like I said, I have 4 more plugs as well, so then that's, and obviously multiply that by 4. So it gives me a pretty decent amount of stuff I can light up in my city in its current state. Now, one more trick to make this even more special is to purchase a futuristic voice listener device, or as many normal people call it, a smart plug. Now, there are many available, but just make sure you get the one that'll work with your voice servant of choice. Hey, what do you think of Alexa?
I'm a big fan of good listeners and helpful beings.
That's not what she said about you. Now, the reason I chose to do this last step is because, as you can see, the plugs are under my city, and it's just a lot easier to do this than to turn the plug switch on and off all the time and try and like peer over stuff. So yeah, but now with my new Yoda voice power-like abilities, the city comes to life with the power of my voice. And like I said, this was a lot cooler like 3 years ago, but it's still really, really practical. Hey, turn on the Lego city.
Okay, the Lego city is on.
But after all that, it's as simple as that. Now, I did mention one more trick as well I use for making this easier, and it involves a particular cable from my bricks. And this is the wireless power connector, and it's like a magnetic connector. Now, what this does is it allows you to take off sections of your city build without disconnecting the light kits. And this is extremely handy when you're moving your buildings around, as you can easily lift off sections as to make it easier for yourself, and not to drop big, heavy sets that can be awkward to place in your city. Have you guessed that happened to me? Also, I think these are really cool because then it actually means that you can look inside your city stuff as well, and you can see like all the cool minifigure scenes and stuff that you just wouldn't be able to when you add all the kind of lighting kits to it. But they are all the tips and tricks that I have. If there are any other neat tips and tricks for lighting up a Lego city, then let us know in the comments down below. But I'm hoping that this method has at least helped someone. Anyone? Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, then pop us a like, and if you absolutely loved it, then how about subscribe? And as always, have an absolute awesome day.